And welcome to a So Steady online event. Please have all your tools and note-taking capabilities ready. Your event begins in less than 3 minutes.
Hi everyone, it's Stacy with So Steady. We are so excited to have you all here today. We are going to be jumping on to our card trick mini quilt block, and this is live. And so we are going to go ahead and close the video out so we don't hear double. But we will go ahead and have Melissa take it over now. We'll answer any questions throughout the live. Mel, I think you did a great job with your video, but is there anything you want to share as we're finishing it up?
Let's see. It was a lot of fun. I can't think of anything. There was a couple places where I might have laughed and messed up, but I was kind of doing it half one-handed, so hopefully you guys still enjoy it.
One thing I did want to mention is the card trick instructions that we included in the box. There's lots of different ways to make a card trick block.
Yep, there is.
So we went ahead and gave you kind of the one that we put in the box.
Yep.
But there's going to be another class, a couple more classes that we're doing. I think that are going to show you different ways to put it together.
Yep.
So you're going to have a few different card trick opportunities to kind of learn which way you like the best as you're piecing your blocks.
A lot of different tips and tricks from the different educators. So yeah, make sure you will get all of the classes in.
And we would love to hear from you today. We'd love to hear if you enjoy putting together these piece blocks. Like, what's your favorite part of the boxes?
Yeah, what
if you are a Box Club member. If not, tell us what you're looking for and what gets you excited and you're watching these classes. So
yeah, we love your feedback.
Thank you guys so much. We'll go ahead and have Melissa take it away now.
Hi everybody, this is Melissa with Sew Steady, and today we're going to be working on the mini card trick block. And I apologize that we did not get this done sooner. My hope was to do this class early in January, so you had it when you got your boxes. But I had a little accident and broke my wrist. So I'm still healing, but enough that I feel like I can now do our card trick block. So I'm really excited to do this one. As you can see, early or late last year, I did practice doing the card trick block on a few different projects. I did a pillow back here, and I did this table runner where I did a larger version of the card trick block. And then what's funny is when we first talked about doing the card trick, I had found this card playing card material at Walmart. So I thought it would be fun to do a little card trick block on that just to kind of test it out and play around with it. So that was fun. This was done with embroidery with the satin stitches, but we are going to do some traditional piecing, and we're going to be using our paper patterns that was included in the box. So we're going to use these as templates. If you guys have used paper patterns before, you're just going to cut those out and we'll use those to cut our fabric. But one thing to keep in mind though is we do have a whole line of our adjustable rulers. Let me grab them for you, stuck them over here. But I was just going to talk about them really quick because they're very helpful. We have both our half square and our quarter square, and they come in various sizes. So these are some of the half square ones I have. So I have, I think this is a 2 to 6, and then this is like a little mini one. Both are really helpful. Then I have the quarter square as well, and then a little quarter square one as well. And I love the adjustable because you can do different sizes and mix and match. So those are a lot of fun. You should have a coupon in your box as well. If you don't have these and you want them, they're definitely great to have. So, but for today, we're going to be using the paper pattern that was included. And then of course we've got some of our beautiful in the beginning fabric and our new templates as well that we're going to use for quilting the design on the front. And then if you want to add a little button at the end, we can do that as well. So let's get started. So first things first, we are going to cut out our paper piecing templates so that we can get our fabric cut out. There's lots of ways that you can do this. You know, there is, once you register on our university, you get a PDF of this so that you could potentially print this on maybe a little bit stiffer cardstock if you wanted to. Or again, you can print like multiple copies of it in case you, you know, as a paper template, sometimes after a while you kind of, you'll end up cutting it too much or kind of, you just need a fresh copy. You also can use our table as a light box if you've done that before and trace them out. I was going to try to show that a little bit, but I think for today I'm just going to focus on getting the quilt block made. So we are just going to cut these out. And so I'm just going to cut this right off right here first. What I like to do is just cut out and around them first. And then of course you can see the dotted line, that's going to be your seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these out around that first, and then I'll kind of fine time, you know, tune it up a little bit so that I'm right on that seam allowance when I go ahead and lay it on my fabric and cut my fabric out. So you can do this with scissors, or you can just do this with your rotary cutter. But I'm just going to kind of cut them out so I have easier pieces to deal with here. And then I like to use a straight edge. And I'm just using the centering ruler by Sobez. I love this. And gonna just use it to, and I like it because it's got the guidelines on it, and then the color, I can see through it really well. So I'm just gonna lay that line right on that dotted line. Well, actually this way. What am I thinking? This is what happens when you haven't been doing any sewing and quilting for a few weeks. And I'm just gonna start cutting this out so I have the actual shape that I need. And again, I'm just gonna put it right on that line, make sure I'm evening up everything so that I have that true 1/4 inch right there. Actually, I need to be doing it on the line. There we go. There we go. That's what we want. We want to go ahead and do that with all of them. So let's get them all cut out and then we'll put them on the fabric and get them. All right. So there's lots of ways that you can do this. So first of all, you got two blues. We're going to go ahead and set one of the blues aside of fabric because that's going to be our backing and our binding. And then we've got our little cutout pieces. So you can pin them. You can add a little dollop of a glue stick or whatever, however you want to do it to hold this in place when you're cutting it. I just cut a strip off that I knew was close to the size of this. It's just easier to, dealing with a smaller strip of fabric, I feel like, then you're only trimming it a little bit. So a couple things to keep in mind though, when you are doing it this way, I'm just going to line it up and then use a straight edge to cut out the rest of the shape that I want. And I really like using this ruler for that. So do you want to be careful that you want it to be right as a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to line the 1/4 inch line on that black part of this part here, because this is a 1/4 inch. That's our seam allowance. So it's like that fine line of getting right close up to that, but you want to be careful you're not shaving off any of your paper. So I did that on my first cut where I got really close, because you keep shaving off your paper and then pretty soon you've shaved off all your seam allowance. So you want to be careful not to do that. And again, you can pin it if you're a little worried about it shifting or moving on you, however you're going to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get 4 of the blue half square triangles cut out. Okay, so I've got all my half square triangles done. I like to do them in that batch, half square triangles first, and then I'll do the 1/4 square triangles. And then I kind of lay them out as I do it so I get everything positioned in the right way. There's nothing worse than like getting it all cut out and then you go to piece it together and your colors are in the wrong spot, or that's happened to me a few times. So anyway, so I did the half square triangles and then we're going to do the 1/4 square. We're going to do it the same way. Again, if you're using your paper piecing pattern, you can cut your strips ahead of time in 2.5 inch strips. So that way, when you put the pieces on there, you're not wasting as much. And again, or if you have our adjustable 1/4 square, half square triangles, you can use those as well. Just for Lou and just for keeping it a little bit easier for me, because I'm a little bit handicapped, I am using our adjustable rulers. I was having trouble trying to hold the paper piecing even when I pinned it in place and trying to cut it and get it all nice and square. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 1/4 squares cut out, and it looks like we're going to need, let's see, 3 of the cream colored. No, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the cream colored and 4 of the brown. And then is it 4 of the blue? Yeah, 4 of each. Well, it says that right on the directions. We should probably read the directions. Okay. So 4 of each color in the 1/4 square triangles. I'm going to get those cut out. You cut them out too, however you want to get them cut out. And we're going to lay them in here and get moving along further on this. Okay. So I've got us all set up now. So I've got all my pieces cut out. I went ahead and pressed them, and then I like to lay them out and, obviously how we're going to piece them together. And I usually do it on my felt mat, and that way I can just take this whole thing over to my sewing machine. And as I'm piecing the rows together, it just helps me stay, make sure that I'm piecing things together correctly. Because again, when I pick them up and I take them over there and then I bring them back, sometimes you get things flipped around and then you're sewing them backwards and all that kind of stuff. So I just like to take this over there with me. So I've got my block that I completed. This was done a couple months ago when we were prepping for the Q1 for this year. So I already have that to kind of look at. Obviously my instructions. And then we're just going to start piecing them in rows. So I'm going to do these 3 and then I'll get that row done and then work my way down. So I did cut the rest of these out with my adjustable rulers, the half square and the 1/4 square rulers. And then I also wanted to show you, if you're not aware of our square and a square trim guide. So this is really good. You'll notice on our paper patterns that you guys got how the ends are clipped off, which makes it really nice when you're piecing together because you can line them up really good. So that's what this does. If you're using our adjustable rulers, the square and a square will help just nip off those ends. You would just line it up and it would help you take off that little end right there. So this is a nice tool to have. if you've not seen that before or used that before. So I just wanted to mention that as well, since on our paper pattern we do show them like that. And again, that does make it really nice for piecing. So anyways, we're just going to head over to the machine and we're going to start piecing these together by rows. And hopefully it'll come together pretty quickly and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the first section, basically the first little section we're going to put together, starting with the first row, and just piece them together one at a time to get myself going here. So I have my little beginner fabric there. Sometimes my machine doesn't eat my fabric, and then sometimes it does, so I don't know. Even with a fresh needle, I put a fresh needle on it the other day and went to sew something and it just mangled the first part of my project. I don't know. I don't know why it does that. Kind of goes in spurts. So you can chain piece some of this together, like if you wanted to do all of your half square triangles and piece all those together first, you could, which I might go ahead and do that. Maybe just the 4 corners and get those 4 corners done, and that way I can get them pressed and under my clapper and make sure they're all nice and the seams are all nice and flat. So I think I'm going to do that. Funny how much you don't realize you use both hands until you're not able to use one of your hands for a while. I am so glad it's finally healing because I have missed sewing, working on my projects. So this is kind of fun to be able to get in here and do some sewing again, especially this time of year when it's kind of cold. It's been sunny here, but it's so cold. So it's sunny and you think, oh, I'm going to go outside because it just looks so beautiful and I want to be out in the sun. And then it's freezing. So let's get this one done. So these will be my 4 corners. So I'm going to go ahead and stop with these 4 corners and go give these a press, get them under the clapper, and then we'll start on the other pieces, which we kind of have to do in sections because we have the quarter square triangles with the half square triangles. So I'm going to go press these and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got all those getting pressed right now. And let's go ahead. I'm going to start with the guys. Now I've realized I have to be really careful. This is how this one's going to go together right here. And so sometimes I'll go and bring it to the machine and then I might flip it and forget and then sew it like that. So you got to be really careful on these because they definitely have to be orientated a certain way based on the pattern. So you just want to make sure that you're really looking at your pattern and which way these are supposed to be pieced together. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one going. And I do like to do these ones more in sections, otherwise I end up getting stuff pieced in the wrong area. So I don't really chain piece this section very much. You could if you wanted to. I don't. So I'm going to just finger press this right here, open. I know those go together, so I'm going to press that one here in a second. And then I've got this one. Let's see. So these two need to go like this. I'm going to go ahead and get this one pressed together. Oh, a little fabric in there. And let's see. Get this one kind of finger pressed to open. This one I think is going to go like that. That one's going to go like that. So I'm going to go get these pressed. Keep them together. have my next little sections going here. I'm gonna piece those together. And then go give these a press. Okay, so I have my 2/4 squares together now on one of the sections, and I'm going to piece these together to my half square. And I've got 2 of these to do, so I'm going to do 2 in a row. And then press, and then lay them back out on my pattern to make sure that I did them the correct way, orientated them the correct way, which hopefully I did. And I'm not sure what's going on with this piece. It's a lot bigger than it needs to be. Obviously, I didn't measure that one very well. But we're going to just go with it, and I will trim it out afterwards. I think its end just didn't get clipped off like it should. Okay, I'm going to go press these ones and then lay them out, and we'll see where we're at. I'll kind of bring it over and we can look at it together and see how our layout's coming along. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera just a little bit to kind of show you here what we've got. Oh, let's see if I can get this over there a little bit more. So this is our top row here. So I have these 2 to put together. So I did the 2/4 square. I got my half square. And then I'll still need to do this middle section. And then I've got my corners down here. And again, I did my 2/4. I just got to piece it to my half square. So I'm going to do these 2 next. I'm going to save my middle for last. And then I have these pieces sitting over there under the iron right now. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back over here. And finish piecing my other ones together. So I've got these 2 that need to go together. So I'm just going to grab those and get them lined up and get these pieced together. It's such an interesting block because when it finally comes together, it really is unique. Just how, especially when you use, you know, you can use 4 different colors for the different cards or just 2. I always kind of thought just the 2 colors to me always seemed like it had more of an impact than if you used like 4 different colors for the cards. But just depending on, you know, the project that you're doing and what you want it to look like, it's nice to, it's a nice block that you can, has a lot of different ways that you can do it. Let's get this lined up here. Okay, I'm gonna go get these pressed and we'll keep working our way around. Almost done. Then we'll put our rows together. Okay, so here are our pieces. Straighten this out here. And now I'm just going to put the rows together. So I just, again, have it kind of laid out how it's going to look. And yeah, just going to start with each row. And then once each row is done, I'll press it. And then we'll put the rows together. So that is what I'm going to do next. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of scooch this over so it's not right in my way, but that I can still kind of have it here as my layout so I don't do things backwards. And I'm going to move you back over here. Let me get my camera repositioned here. And we'll start putting our rows together. Somehow I got on a zigzag stitch. That's not what I want. I must have hit my machine incorrectly. Good thing I have that thing on there. Okay. So before I take it over to the ironing board, I'm just going to finger press this open and do my second one on here, and then I'll take the whole thing over. And then you want to try to line up those points as well as you can right there. So you'll see you have a seam right there and that same seam. So you kind of nest them like you would any other seam to make sure they kind of get up there as close as possible as you can. So you keep those nice points. So same thing with this one. I'm going to line that up and try to line those little seams up really well. And again, you can pin it if you'd like or use a clip. Kind of readjust as you go if you need to. And then I'll take this over there and press it and do my next row. Okay, so I've got it all pieced together. I'm not going to say it's my finest work. It's really hard to do this when I don't have full faculty of my other hand. So it was really hard to kind of hold pieces and stuff together. So, but I think it's fine. My first one that I did, I really thought turned out really nicely. I really liked it. So, yeah, this one's all right. They don't always turn out exactly how you think they're going to turn out, but we'll make it work. So that is my second one. So it's all pieced together. You can trim it up, make sure you square it up. And then we're just going to go ahead and do the quilting on the front using our new Spin-e-Fex snowflake templates. I know there's already been a lot of classes and stuff out there utilizing these. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. I think I can do some template work. Well, we're going to try it anyways. We'll see. And then we just have to put our backing and binding on, and that would be our mini quilt. And then, of course, if you wanted to put a little button in the middle like we do, you can do that as well. But that is the card trick block. So hopefully you guys like it. Again, I think it's a fun block. Some people do use, like I was talking about earlier, different colors for all 4 cards. I always thought just the 2 colors really made it stand out a lot better personally, but it's a fun block to play around with and try different things with and different sizes. I'm going to do a pillow class later on, I think in March with the card trick, and I'm going to use a big 12-inch block for the card trick. And so that's kind of fun too, doing different block sizes. So anyways, we will move on to the next step. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of get myself situated and started here. But we are getting started with the quilting now. So this is the design that we're going to do. And this is using the Snowflake Spin-e-Fex 10. And we're going to be using this end of it. But if you want to switch it up for yourself, feel free to do so. This is just what we're going to be using, and we're going to be following the instructions that were included, referring to them anyways. And so I just kind of had and did one so we could talk about it a little bit. But the first thing that we're going to do is be making our reference lines. So you're going to want to draw 6 reference lines with each of the corners. That's kind of how I did it to keep myself organized here. So I'm going to use the center to put it right at the center of one of these card tricks here. So we've got that going up in this angle here, and we're going to do 5 reference lines. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to put a little mark here. That just gives me something to know. And you can use the seams a little bit too, if they're going in the right direction. Like these cross seams are going in the right direction. So I can use those to kind of line up as well. But we're just going to do 5 reference lines in each of those corners and get those done first, because then once we start quilting, we're just going to keep working our way around the block. So we don't want to have to stop and do more reference lines. You can see how this one's kind of right on the seam right there. So that one's kind of nice. That one lines up on that seam there. Give ourselves a little mark here. Again, it's just so we can kind of line up our template as we go. So do that first, and then we are going to do 5 rotations. So we're going to start with our needle down here in the center, and we're going to do our 5 rotations. And then we're going to use our straight edge and stitch across to the next section, and then do our 5 rotations. Use our straight edge, come down, do the same thing, use our straight edge. And then what that's going to do is give us this boxed out area here. So I am, for this demonstration, I am using the metallic thread that came in the box, and I am using the Deco Bob in my bobbin as well, along with a 9014 metallic needle, as far as my needle goes. And then for my machine, I just took my tension down just a hair, my top tension. For some reason, I noticed that works just a little bit better. With the metallic especially, just because of how it gets threaded through and how the machine works with it, I guess. Sometimes it'll break if it's a little too tight, especially when I'm doing ruler work. So using metallic thread, you definitely don't want to go fast. You definitely want to slow down a little bit. Now on this other block that I did earlier, I didn't have the metallic thread yet, so this is just some glide thread that I use. That's why it looks a little bit different. And I did this with the embroidery designs. This was done with embroidery. This is going to be done with ruler work. And again, I just did one here to kind of show how it's going to work. So we're going to start at this next one. So let's get ourselves situated. And again, of course, I already have my batting and backing on. I did trim my backing down already. So for the smaller blocks, I like to use 3/4 of an inch, or you can use an inch too if you want a little bit more to play with when you're using your backing as you're binding. For bigger projects, I do use an inch. For these little guys, I just do 3/4 of an inch. But again, you can do whatever works good for you. And then, so we're going to start with our needle down. Let me turn this around here. And let me get my stiletto while we're talking here so I can kind of point out. So I already did my 5 rotations. I used then the straight edge of the template to come over to my next spot, which is just going to be this next center point here. And my first rotation obviously is going to be, tell you how hard this is when I don't have all my fingers and hands. Okay. So we want that lined up right there. So you have the little line on our template. We obviously have our reference lines that we drew. So I'm just going to kind of get myself lined up here and make sure that I'm using these first two reference lines on this vertical part here to line up with my needle that's going to be down in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and get my needle where I want it, which is right there. Then I'm going to put my needle down because it kind of holds me in place. And then I'm going to line up right there with my first etch line. And I'm going to do my first rotation and then do my 5 rotations all the way around. So I'm going to turn it like this just so we can see it a little bit better. And hopefully all works out. Again, you stop at that point there at the top before you do your next rotation. I saw there's a lot of good classes out there now with our educators on these templates, so definitely refer to them as well. I think Shauna Rendon did a really nice one, and Pam Varner and Kathy all did some really good ones too. So you'll get lots of little tips and tricks. And I'm just going to line it up and do my next rotation and get it where I want it. Stop at that point. Stop right there again. We're going to turn it, keep rotating. Together really fast. It's a nice design. I like it. I like how this one was laid out. Gives you some good practice with the template too, especially on a smaller little block like this. Stop with your needle down, do your next rotation. And take time to get things lined up. The metallic thread is gorgeous. I love it. I'm always a little nervous using metallics. I don't know if you guys are as well. Sometimes they work out really good and sometimes I'm not so sure, but this works out really good. And I think having that deco bob in the bobbin really helps as well. It works really good with the metallic thread. I think it just helps keep it from jamming. And okay, so this was our 5th rotation. Again, I'm going to stop with my needle down and I'm going to use a little needle slot, pull this out here, and then I'm going to use my straight edge to come down to this next spot where we're going to do our next rotations. So I'm going to line it up. You can see I've got pretty much a 1/4 inch. I'm just going to stitch down that seam line. You can use a seam line as well. And that's just going to take me to my next point. Is right there. And then all I have to do is use the needle slot again and get myself lined back up. Oops, not on my template. And get myself back into position here. So I have a reference line over here, making sure I'm about right there, I think is about right. So having that line right there on that seam I know is right, and then this line over here on this seam should be about right. And we'll do our next 5 rotations. Oops, got my template caught in the back there. Okay. This is going to be our last one. So get myself back over here again. Make sure I'm lined up. And you have those different dimensions too. So if you wanted to bring the little snowflake out a little bit further, you could do that. Obviously, you don't want to bring it out too far for binding this one or leave room for it. But if you were working on a bigger project, it's nice to have that ability to move the stem out so that you can make it a little bit longer or shorter. Really makes these templates super versatile for designs that you can make. Okay, myself lined up here. This one was just a little bit wonky. I think my seams were a little bit wonky on this one, but it's okay. Still works. And that's what's fun about doing these little mini ones too, because they're kind of just like a practice. Okay, so I'm going to do this next one. This should be our last one. Or no, second to the last one. Almost our last one, not quite. I really like that gold on the brown too. It looks really pretty. Okay, and then our last one is going to be this one. Okay. Get that lined up there. Oh, kind of there. Oh, well. Okay, then we're going to do that little last rotation down using our straight edge. Oh, my template off of there. And lining that up. And we're going to come down there and finish. There we go. So that is what it looks like right now. So you can leave it like that if you like. And that way you get to see the little hourglass shape in the middle if you want. I kind of like that look. Or we're showing how you can do a little bit more cross hatching. So you can use the straight edge on here and do a little bit of diagonal if you'd like. Let's see how we're showing it here. A couple different ways you can use it using your spacing gauge. You can just do it simple. You have your 1/4 inch lines on here. So I could come back to here and do it and keep moving it and then do it the other way. Or you can do it kind of like at a diagonal, how it was done on this first block, if you like. Or again, you can just leave it blank. Whatever works for you. Then there's some options too. If you look at the directions, there's an option of using the other snowflake spinning template with the circle and just doing some circles in the middle. So maybe we'll do that instead because I already did the cross hatching on this one to kind of show what it looks like. And so maybe, oops, I almost dropped something. We'll use the other spinning snowflake and use that circle. Let me get it out here. And then I'll show you the design that's in the instructions. Let's see, which one here? This one. Okay. So we could do this design right here. So I think maybe I'll try that one and we'll just finish with that one in the middle. So looks like we might want to run some reference lines. I'm going to use my seam lines since they're already there. So I'm going to do a circle here and line it up, circle, circle, circle. And then, so really all I need is these 2 lines right here, which I'm just going to kind of wing it. You know, I'm living dangerously. I'm just going to kind of put a line there. And I'm going to go ahead and break my thread. So I'm going to start in the middle. So I'm just going to put a line here. So I have something to line up for that one. So basically I'm going to come up and do a circle here, do a circle here, do a circle here, here, and that's how we're going to finish this off. So, oh, need my template. We're going to start, oh, did I come unthreaded? Okay, so we're going to start out by doing the center circle. Oops. Well, I'm just all over the place today. Okay. So on the center circle, we have this line here that I'm going to use. And then obviously we have those lines there to line up. Let me pull my needle back up. So once I've got it all lined up, I'm going to go ahead and do my first circle. Then looks like we're going to come down about an inch. So you could use your spacing gauge, but we also have this right here. So we could, see, we're going to take this out and then we'll put it here. And it looks like we're going to come up, well, just a little bit. We don't have a ton of room there. So maybe we just come up to that second line right there. And then we can put our circle back in and do our circle. And lining it up. That might have been up a little too far because I'm running into my other line. It comes right to the edge. But maybe not. So then we're going to come back down. And do our other circle. Which is going to be right here. So I'm just going to do some traveling about right here. And I'm going to come up to about the same. Actually, on the diagonal, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to come out a little bit further because I feel like we have a little bit more room because it's on the diagonal. And then I'll put my circle back in. So now I'm just kind of, I'm winging it. I guess I'm going off grid here. Just kind of playing around with this, with these circles. Let's see how that looks. We're going to come back down and do our next one. So I guess I forgot to put my other line in there. So that probably would have been good to do. But I'm going to use the points on the piecing that we did to kind of gauge. And then let's turn this around this way so we can see what we're doing. I think we came out to about just that second or third one there. Not too far. We don't have a ton of room. Again, because we have the block right there. That'll be kind of a cute design. So I've got my 3 little circles there. Keep working my way around here. I did way more than 6. We were only supposed to do 6. I'm doing 8. So I think I'd probably stop at 6. This is what happens when you make it up as you go. Oh, let's do our line first. Okay. And we're just going to come down just a little bit again. On this angle, there's not a lot of room. So you just want to be careful how close you get to the edge there. And then go ahead and do your next circle. And then we're going to come back down to the center and do our last one on the angle there. Okay, and we'll use this. Come out a little ways. Get a little bit more room on these angle sides here. Okay, line that up and let's do our last circle. There we go. And come back to center. Okay. There we go. Let me press it real quick and then we'll take a look at it. All right. There it is. So I guess I did it a little different than what we were looking at on the thing. So this one has 6 and I did like 8, I guess. I got circle happy in the middle. Anyways, it was good practice though. So that's what it looks like. Not bad. So a lot of different designs. And again, you can also leave that blank or you could do something else in the middle, whatever you wanted. That's what the back looks like. I thought it might be a little more messier than that. So I was kind of pleased with how the back looked. Kind of nice. That deco bob looks, it works really good. So that is the front. I felt like doing these Spin-e-Fex snowflakes were really easy and simple. And again, using the edge of the template to kind of go around the block. I thought that was kind of nice. Anyways, I hope you guys liked that. Again, don't forget to check out the other classes by the other educators using these templates. A lot of good information in those and different ways of making designs, different snowflake designs. So a lot of inspiration out there. Definitely check that out. And so I'm going to go ahead and just put the backing and binding on this. Well, actually the backing and binding is already on. I'm going to go ahead and just finish the binding, roll this over. And use the same technique that we've been using with all of our boxes since we started. I'm just going to fold in the corners like that and then fold this and then you're just going to kind of roll it up and that'll give you your nice little mitered corners here. So that's what I'm going to do to finish it off. But anyways, that is our mini blocks of this quarter. Thank you guys for your patience. I apologize it wasn't quite as detailed as I normally do. Again, it was a little difficult here with my one-handed, but hopefully you get the idea and you've enjoyed it. And again, to make it a few times, you've got that paper pattern that you can use multiple times. You can download it again on the university. If you really like it, I would suggest just getting the adjustable half square and quarter square triangles because those are really useful for cutting out the different shapes. So definitely handy tools. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the quarter and all the different projects that are in it, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. What an awesome project, Mel. I love seeing how you finish that block with that new snowflake template that has that Spin-e-Fex on one end. That was super easy. Now, if you don't have our Elevate box, then obviously you can quilt along with some of the other templates that we promote with that design as well, which is the Spin-e-Fex design. And you can check out our class kit information on our So Steady website. That is called our Card Trick Class Kit A, I believe. So you can learn more about it there. But we'll look forward to having you all join us again tomorrow for another amazing live with Ann Moore. And we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, everyone. Okay, now, who is looking for a full winter quilting experience? This winter Elevate quilt box is available now
through March 18th with options starting at just $75 through our club stores or $99 to try it. Each box includes over $400 with tools, fabric, thread, and guided projects with everything you need to stay inspired all season long. It's the perfect way to learn, to quilt, and to grow in your quilting experience this winter.